Okay, in this episode, we're going to talk about compound inequalities. Compound inequalities are inequalities with two or more inequalities combined with the and or the or statement involved. For example, type 1, these are inequalities where we have or statements. We have the example given to us. We're talking about or statements. So I have x less than negative 2 or x is greater than 3. Now, usually when we graph or statements, we graph them apart. What we mean is if I take my graph here, I'm going to draw my line. Okay. And I have 0 here, I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, and I have negative 1, and I have negative 2, and negative 3, and let's go 4. Okay, now, it's including negative 2, all right? And we're talking about going to the left because it's less than, right? And or including, so that means that's going to be closed. And then over here at 3, it's not including 3, and it's going to the right. All right? So notice, all of this range in this area here is not included in our inequality. Okay? Now, interval notation. This is where it gets important to understand. When we write interval notation, we're going to write these as two separate inequalities. So this is going to negative infinity, and this is going to positive infinity, right? So this is going to be interval notation for this would be negative infinity, negative 2, parentheses, because it's, or no, actually, sorry, my bad, this would be braces, because it's equal to, it's including negative 2. Then we're going to write the word or, and then parentheses, or not, it is parentheses, I put a bracket. And we're using parentheses here because this is not equal to, it's open. So that side is open. This side is closed. Okay? So this is going to be 3 to positive infinity. And also note, you need to write it in this order. So the smallest number, the smallest interval is going to be to the left. So you're writing it the same as if you're looking at the graph and you're going from the graph from left to right. So your smallest number is going to be negative infinity, and your biggest number on this first interval is going to be negative 2. Then you come along and then you hit 3, and then that's going to go towards infinity. Let's do one more example problem so that will make things hopefully easier. So let's say I've got negative 3x less than or equal to negative 9, or, that's my or word, and then 5 plus x greater than, nope, not greater than, hold on, less than 6. Okay. In order for me to solve this, all right, so this is a little bit different from what we talked about up here. Here it's already done for us. Here we need to do some work. We need to have x by itself, just like we treat like a normal equation. Treat them like an equation, just like we did the other inequalities. But with this or statement, I'm going to treat this as two separate inequalities. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this. So this, I'm going to divide by negative 3. When I divide by negative 3, that's going to give me x. Remember, switch signs because I'm dividing by a negative number. And that will give me x is greater than positive 3. Then I'm going to subtract 5. That's going to give me x is less than 1. Note, my inequalities, basically these kind of switched with each other. All right? Now, be very careful. This is like a star. I guarantee you you're going to see an equation on the star for 2019 or 2020, I mean. You're going to see it where you're going to have to flip the sign, that you're going to divide by a negative, and that's going to make you flip the sign. All right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and write this out. So let's see. I've got 1. So I've got 1 over here. I've got 0. I've got negative 5, and then I have negative 9. And all right, I think that's enough for me to be able to graph. Okay, so I have 1, if it's less than 1, it's going in that direction, right? And if it is, hold on, wait, I did something wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, but I put the graph wrong. I was thinking 9. That's where I do it wrong. My apologies. Okay. So I need 1 here, 0 here, 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So I have 1. All right. It's there and it's open, right? Because there's no equal sign. So it's going to the left. So that means that that's going to be a parentheses in terms of me talking about this. Then I have a circle at 3. It's greater than or equal to, so that means it's closed. And it's a bracket. Since it's closed, I'm going to put brackets. And it's greater than, so we're going in that direction. So just kind of like looking at this, I'm going to do, so this is going to be negative infinity to 1. It's open. Or, right, closed, 3 to positive infinity. That's an awful infinity symbol. Now, there's an or statement where you can write this a little bit more without saying or. I believe it's a U. I'll verify. Might be, yeah, it is the U. Technically, you might have seen this before, but I'm okay with you saying or. You could also use the U. All right, let's do one more question. All right, let's say on this equation, we have, or this, not equation, inequality, we have 2x plus 9, and that's greater than 17. Or we have 5x plus 10 less than 10. Again, I have my dot, right? So I'm going to treat these as 2 separate inequalities. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 9. That gives me 2x greater than 2, 9. It's going to be 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2. That's going to give me x is greater than 4. Subtract 10, that gives me 5x less than 0. Now I'm going to divide, I can have 0, so I'm going to divide by 5. So that's going to give me x is less than 0. So I have x is greater than 4 or x is less than 0. So let's go ahead and graph this. I have 0. Let me do this, hold on. Negative 1, 0, let's say 1, and let's go ahead and say 4. All right, so we've got 4, and it's greater, and it's not including it. X has to be greater, or greater symbol is going to that way, so that means that's the direction we're going. Then we have 0, it's not including 0, and it's going in that direction. So that's going to be negative infinity, comma, 0, parentheses. Then it's going to be or, parentheses, 4 to infinity. Okay? This is our interval notation. So, now, in terms of how I would write this here, I would say x greater than 4 or x less than 0. Now, if I wanted to combine these two, I would need to put one of my symbols on the other way. Like, I could rewrite this way. So, I need to rewrite, that needs, if I switch, so 0 comes first, right? So, I need to switch to 0. So, this needs to be, whoops, 0. If I switch, put 0 on that side and x on that side, that means that this inequality symbol is now going to be greater than. Then I'm going to put x here. X is greater than 4. So this would be the shorthand interval notation for the inequality, how to write that. So this is the interval notation, and this is how we would write the interval in shorthand. All right? See you in the next video where I will talk about and compound inequalities. Those get a little bit more complicated.